This is the effect of rules on the house advantage. Okay, so the house, as we know, already has an advantage built in. And depending on the rules, they have more or less of an advantage. All right. The most important rule, other than being paid 3-2 on blackjack, I already told you, if you're not getting 3-2 on blackjack, that game is out. So I didn't even put that in this list. The next biggest rule that you're going to find is whether the dealer hits the soft 17 or stands on all 17s. Okay, so you can see right at the top of the chart here, if the dealer hits soft 17, it's going to have zero effect on the house advantage. It's not going to add anything to the house advantage. And then over here we have, if the dealer hits the soft 17, it adds 0.215 to their advantage. That's about the biggest number that you're going to see in this entire chart. Okay, now other than this one right here, where if you're not allowed to double down at all, okay, I've never seen a game like that. Okay, but I put it in the chart anyway to show you how important doubling down is. Okay, don't be afraid to double down. You want to double down every time the basic strategy calls for it. Okay, it's a huge factor. If you were to be one of these scared type players like I see that don't want to double down, which I don't understand, because if they lose that bet, they're going to put another bet out there anyway. So what's the difference if you lose it in two hands or you lose it in one hand? That you're giving the house a huge advantage if you never double down. Bigger advantage than they get from anything else. So it's possible there's a game out there where the house doesn't let you double down at all. I would not play that game. Okay, just like I wouldn't play the 6-5 payout on blackjack. Okay, so hit soft 17. That's going to give the house an extra 0.215. All right, so let's look at a couple of different options for games and see which one would be better. Let's say that there was, and these are real games, by the way, that I've played. Okay, so let's say I'm considering a casino where the dealer stands on all 17s, but you cannot double after split. Okay, you see that down here. No double after split. Okay, and you can split your aces only once. Okay. Now what we do is we start out with 0 for the house, and then we said that you cannot double down after you split. And in this case, let's say that you can split non-aces only once. So you can only resplit your hand one time for aces and non-aces. Okay, they wouldn't have a separate rule for that. They wouldn't let you split your aces more than you can split the other pairs. So you can split any pair just once, and you cannot double down after you split. So that's going to add 0.034 to the house edge, which started out at 0. So in this game, the house has an edge of 0.034. And then let's say I'm considering a game where they do hit their soft 17. Okay, so that adds right away 0.215. So you can write that down, 0.215. And then we're going to say that they allow late surrender. That means late surrender means you can surrender your first two cards if you don't like them. So say you got 16 and the dealer has a 10 showing. You can surrender, but you have to wait until after the dealer checks to see if he has blackjack. So if the dealer has blackjack, then you're not going to be allowed to surrender. So let's say there's a 10 up, you've got 16, dealer checks, she's got blackjack, she's going to flip over her blackjack, you didn't have the opportunity to surrender. But let's say she checks, there's no blackjack, got that 10 up, now you're allowed to surrender. That's going to lower the house advantage in a game where the dealer hits soft 17 by 0.088. Okay, so you subtract that from your 0.215. So you're starting out 0.215 minus 0.088. Okay, and then let's say you can split your aces and any other two cards for that matter to 4 hands. So you split them 3 times to 4 hands. That's going to lower the house advantage by 0.068. Okay, so we have 0.215 minus 0.088 for the late surrender and minus 0.068 for splitting aces to 4 hands. For a total, and don't be afraid to use calculators here because I said we're not going to be doing this in the casino, of 0.0 0.059. Okay? 0.059. 0.215 minus 0.068 minus 0.088 equals 0.059. Positive 0.059, right? So that means 0.059 is the advantage that the house has in the game where she is hitting her soft 17, and in the game where the dealer is standing on the soft 17. Remember, we had a total of 0.034 positive because you could only split one time and you were not allowed to double after split. So in this case, even though you're not allowed to double after split, and even though you can only split one time, versus the other game where you can split up to 3 times for 4 hands, and you can double after split, and you can even surrender, the game where the dealer stands on all 17s, even without that surrender, is still the better game. Now, that hit soft 17 with the ability to double down after split and split your hand to 4 hands and even split aces to 4 hands, and it has late surrender, that's about the best rules for dealer hitting soft 17 that I've ever encountered. And as you can see, it's still not as good as if they stand on the soft 17 and they don't even have very good rules. Now, the only time when I could see where a game where they stand on all 17s would be worse than a game where the dealer hits the soft 17 is if they only allow you to double down on 10 or 11. Now, I've seen that, okay? So the dealer stands on all 17s, but you can only double down on 10 or 11. So you can't double down on soft hands, for example, when you have ace 6, okay? You can't double down on that. Okay? And that hurts you by 0.173. That gives the house an added advantage of 0.173. So if you look at that game where they only allow you to double down on 10 or 11, and you can only split once, and you're not allowed to double after split, that game, just add those two together, 0.034 plus 0.173, gives you a house advantage of 0.207. Okay, that's a bigger house advantage than the game that we just went through where the dealer hits the soft 17, but you're allowed to surrender, you're allowed to split aces 3 times to 4 hands, split anything 3 times to 4 hands, double after split. All that, remember, was at 0.059. Okay, so in that case, you would actually prefer the game where you have all those favorable. So basically, the bottom line is, unless you have all of the player favorable rules, and you have a game where the dealer stands on all 17s, and you are restricted, like only being able to double down on 10 and 11, or worse yet, only double down on 11. That's the only time when you're going to actually prefer the dealer hits soft 17 game. Okay, but again, it has to be a good dealer soft 17 game where you get all those other advantages to outweigh that. Most of the time, if the dealer stands on all 17s, that's going to be the game that you want to play most of the time. And it just reinforces to what I said earlier about how important doubling down is. Okay, please don't anybody ever hesitate to double down when you're supposed to double down.